Your Ford feels slower than it should. Throttle response is lazy, shifts come late, and the truck just doesn't pull like it did when you drove it off the lot. Before you waste money on performance parts or dealer diagnostics, there's a hidden adaptive learning setting buried in your Ford's computer that's been silently choking your engine response for months, maybe years. Dealerships charge $150 to $250 to reset it, but today, I'm showing you exactly how to do it yourself in under 1 minute. Completely free, and restore the aggressive throttle response Ford programmed onto your truck from the factory. The problem: your Ford is learning bad habits. Here's what's actually happening inside your Ford's computer every single time you drive. Modern Fords use electronic throttle control, sometimes called drive-by-wire. There's no mechanical cable connecting your gas pedal to the throttle body anymore, like there was on older vehicles. When you press the accelerator pedal, you're not physically opening the throttle plate. Instead, you're sending an electronic signal to the engine control unit requesting power. That ECU receives your pedal position input, processes it through multiple algorithms, and then sends a command to a small electric motor on the throttle body, telling it how far to open. This happens in milliseconds, so fast you'd never notice the delay under normal circumstances. But here's where the problem starts. Ford programmed these computers with adaptive learning capabilities. The ECU constantly monitors how you drive, how hard you accelerate from stops, how aggressively you press the pedal during highway passing, whether you floor it or ease into throttle gradually. Over time, the computer builds a detailed profile of your driving style and starts anticipating what you want before you even finish pressing the pedal. This sounds helpful in theory, but in practice, it creates serious problems. If you spend most of your time in stop-and-go traffic driving gently to save fuel, your Ford literally learns to be lazy. The computer starts interpreting every pedal input as a gentle request. It dulls the throttle response curve, shifts the transmission to higher gears earlier, and reduces how much power it delivers at any given pedal position. This sounds helpful in theory, but in practice, it creates serious problems. On EcoBoost turbocharged engines, the adaptive learning also affects wastegate control. The computer starts opening the wastegate earlier to limit boost pressure, thinking you prefer fuel economy over performance because that's how you've been driving. This kills the aggressive turbo spool that makes EcoBoost engines exciting to drive. The computer stores all this learned behavior in its memory. Even after you change your oil, replace your spark plugs, or perform other maintenance, the ECU never forgets these driving habits. It just keeps driving like you're scared of the gas pedal, even when you want more power. I had a customer with a 2019 F-150 with a 3.5-liter EcoBoost who swore his truck felt 20% slower than when he bought it new. He'd been driving the same route to work for 3 years, mostly city traffic, rarely getting on the highway. His driving was predictable and gentle 5 days per week. The computer learned this pattern and optimized everything for maximum fuel economy, sacrificing throttle response and performance completely. Another customer bought a used 2017 Mustang GT with the 5.0 Coyote engine. The previous owner was an elderly driver who babied the car and never revved it past 4,000 RPM. When the new owner tried to drive it spiritedly, the throttle felt numb and unresponsive. The car would barely downshift when he wanted to pass on the highway. The engine wasn't broken. The computer had just learned extremely conservative habits from the previous owner and was still driving that way months later. The transmission programming works in tandem with throttle learning. If the computer sees gentle throttle inputs consistently, it programs the transmission to upshift as early as possible, sometimes lugging the engine at 1500 RPM in 6th gear on the highway. This saves fuel on paper, but it makes the truck feel sluggish and unresponsive when you actually need power. For naturally aspirated engines like the 5.0 Coyote or the older 5.4 Triton, the adaptive learning primarily affects throttle response and transmission shift points. For turbocharged EcoBoost engines, it also dramatically affects boost pressure control, making the difference between a truck that feels powerful and one that feels disappointingly weak. The worst part is this degradation happens so gradually that most owners never notice it. You don't wake up one morning and think your truck suddenly feels slow. It's a slow fade over thousands of miles as the computer continuously adjusts to your driving patterns. By the time you realize something feels off, The adaptive learning has been active for months or years, and the difference between how your Ford drives now versus how it drove when new is massive. That's why Ford doesn't advertise this reset. You'd think Ford would want customers to know they can restore factory throttle response instantly and for free, but there are several reasons they keep this capability hidden. The first reason is emissions testing. When Ford certifies a vehicle with the EPA, they have to demonstrate specific fuel economy numbers and emissions levels under standardized test conditions. Those tests are conducted with the adaptive learning at specific calibration points that maximize fuel efficiency. If every customer knew they could reset the adaptive learning to aggressive factory settings, average real-world fuel economy would drop. More aggressive throttle response means customers press the gas pedal harder more frequently, using more fuel and producing slightly higher emissions. Ford doesn't want the EPA scrutinizing why their certified fuel economy numbers don't match real-world customer experiences if everyone starts resetting their throttle learning regularly. The second reason is warranty language. Ford's warranty specifically states that the vehicle must be operated according to the owner's manual recommendations. Nowhere in that manual does it tell you to reset adaptive learning or modify how the computer interprets throttle inputs. If you reset the adaptive learning and then have an engine or transmission problem during the warranty period, technically Ford could claim you modified computer programming and void your powertrain warranty coverage. In practice, this almost never happens. Dealerships would have to prove your adaptive learning reset directly caused the failure, which is nearly impossible. But the legal language exists to protect Ford from liability if they need it. The third reason is dealer profit. Service departments make enormous amounts of money performing what they call throttle body recalibrations, or ECU relearning procedures. They charge $150 to $250 for labor that takes a technician maybe 10 minutes to complete. Some dealerships even recommend this service during routine maintenance intervals, claiming it's necessary for optimal performance. One dealership I'm familiar with trains service advisors to recommend ECU recalibration whenever a customer mentions sluggish acceleration or poor throttle response. They charge $200, perform a simple reset procedure that you can do yourself for free, and send the customer away happy thinking they got professional service. The dealer pockets the labor charges for essentially pressing a few buttons. If you reset the adaptive learning and then have an engine or transmission problem during the warranty period. The fourth reason involves the fuel economy versus performance trade-off that Ford marketing doesn't want to acknowledge publicly. When you buy a Ford, the advertising emphasizes both great fuel economy and powerful performance. But in reality, you can't have both simultaneously. Aggressive throttle response that delivers instant power uses more fuel. Conservative throttle learning that maximizes fuel economy feels lazy and slow. Ford designed the adaptive learning system to automatically prioritize fuel economy for customers who drive gently and prioritize performance for customers who drive aggressively. This lets them claim their vehicles deliver both benefits depending on how you drive. But if they openly advertise the reset procedure, customers would realize the performance they expected from marketing materials only exists if you constantly drive hard or regularly reset the adaptive learning. The truth is, Ford engineered these systems brilliantly from a technical standpoint. The adaptive learning works exactly as designed, optimizing the vehicle for each individual driver's habits. The problem is, most drivers don't want optimization for gentle commuting. They want the aggressive factory calibration they experience during their test drive, and they want it to stay that way permanently. The hidden setting. Explained, deep technical dive. To understand why resetting adaptive learning works so dramatically, you need to know exactly what's happening inside your Ford's engine control unit. The ECU isn't a simple on-off switch. It's a sophisticated computer running millions of calculations per second, constantly adjusting fuel delivery, ignition timing, throttle position, transmission shift points, and dozens of other parameters. Your throttle position learning system monitors the accelerator pedal position sensor constantly. This sensor reports a voltage signal corresponding to exactly how far you've pressed the pedal. 0% is completely released. 100% is floored. The ECU reads this signal and compares it against stored calibration tables that determine how much to open the throttle body. In a non-adaptive system, 50% pedal position always commands 50% throttle opening. But with adaptive learning active, the ECU modifies that relationship based on your driving history. Your throttle position learning system monitors the accelerator pedal position sensor constantly. If you typically only use 20 to 30% pedal travel during normal driving, the computer stretches that range. 50% pedal might only command 35% throttle opening because the ECU has learned you rarely need more than that. This creates what engineers call a softened throttle curve. Small pedal inputs produce even smaller throttle responses. You have to press significantly harder to get the same power output you'd get with factory calibration. The truck feels lazy and unresponsive because there's a growing gap between what you're requesting and what the computer actually delivers. The ECU stores this learned behavior in adaptive memory, sometimes called Keep Alive Memory, or KAM. This memory remains powered even when the vehicle is off, preserving all learned parameters between drive cycles. The only way to clear this memory is through specific reset procedures that force the computer to dump learned data and start over from factory baseline calibration. One critical detail most owners don't understand is the difference between a throttle body reset and a complete adaptive learning reset. A throttle body reset only clears learned idle position data. A complete adaptive learning reset dumps all learned driving data, forcing everything to return to factory baseline calibration. How to access and reset. This setting, 3 methods. Let me walk you through 3 different methods to reset your Ford's adaptive throttle learning, the easiest and progressing to more advanced options. Method 1 takes 30 seconds, requires no tools, and works for most situations. Method 2 takes about an hour and delivers a complete system reset. Method 3 requires a $50 tool, but gives you permanent control over how aggressive your throttle response stays. Method 1, the free 30-second throttle relearn. This is the procedure that dealerships charge $150 to $200 to perform. You can do it yourself right now without leaving your driveway. Here's exactly how it works, step by step. Make sure your Ford is parked on level ground with the parking brake engaged. Turn the key to the on position, or if you have push-button start, press the start button twice without touching the brake pedal. You want accessory power on, but don't start the engine. All your dashboard lights should illuminate, and the radio should have power, but the engine stays off. Now, press the accelerator pedal all the way to the floor. You should feel it bottom out against the floor mat. Hold it there firmly for exactly 10 seconds. Count slowly. 1001, 1002, all the way to 1010. This tells the computer you're commanding 100% throttle position. After 10 seconds, turn the key completely off or press the start button to shut down all accessory power. Release the accelerator pedal completely. Wait another 10 seconds with everything off. This allows the ECU to store the new throttle position data. Now start the engine normally and let it idle for about 30 seconds. This tells the computer you're commanding 100% throttle position. The idle might hunt or surge slightly as the computer relearns proper idle characteristics. That's completely normal and will settle within a minute or two. Once it idles smoothly, you're done with the basic reset. But here's the critical part that most people miss. Don't just drive away normally after this reset. The computer has dumped its learned data and is ready to relearn from scratch. If you immediately go sit in traffic driving gently, it's going to learn those same conservative habits all over again within a few days. Instead, take the truck out for a spirited drive immediately after the reset. Accelerate hard from stops using at least 75% throttle. Get on the highway and do several full throttle acceleration runs from 40 miles per hour up to highway speed. Teach the computer that you're a driver who wants aggressive throttle response and strong performance. Drive this way for at least 10 to 15 miles. Make multiple hard accelerations, engine braking situations by letting off the throttle abruptly, and vary your RPM range significantly. You're basically showing the computer the full range of driving behaviors you want it to optimize for. This method works on all Fords with electronic throttle control from about 2005 onward, F-150S from 2009 to present, Mustang GTs from 2011 forward, 2 Explorers, Expeditions, even the Focus and Fusion models. If it's got drive-by-wire throttle, this reset procedure should work. Method 2. Complete battery disconnect. Reset. For stubborn cases where the simple throttle reset doesn't deliver the results you want, a complete battery disconnect forces every computer module in your vehicle to dump learned data and start fresh. This is more invasive but delivers stronger results, especially on vehicles with transmission issues or multiple drivability complaints. Park on level ground and gather your tools. You'll need a 10mm wrench or socket to disconnect the battery terminal. Pop the hood and locate your battery. On most F100s, it's under the hood on the passenger side. On some models, it might be under the rear seat or in the spare tire well, so check your owner's manual if you can't find it immediately. Loosen the 10mm bolt on the negative battery terminal. The negative terminal is marked with a minus sign and usually has a black cable attached. Remove the cable and move it away from the battery post so it can't accidentally reconnect. Don't touch the positive terminal. You only need to disconnect the negative. Here's the step most people skip, and it's critical for a complete reset. Press the brake pedal firmly 10 to 15 times with the battery disconnected. This drains residual power from every capacitor in the vehicle's electrical system. Then turn on the headlight switch, even though nothing will illuminate. Open and close the doors several times. You're forcing every last bit of stored electricity out of the system. Leave the battery disconnected for at least 30 minutes. An hour is even better for really stubborn adaptive learning issues, especially on 10-speed transmissions that seem to hold learned data aggressively. During this time, every control module in your vehicle loses power completely and dumps its volatile memory. After 30 minutes to an hour, reconnect the negative battery terminal and tighten the 10mm bolt securely. Make sure the connection is tight. A loose battery connection can cause all kinds of electrical problems and check engine lights. Now, start the vehicle without touching any accessories. No radio, no climate control, no power windows. Just start it and let it idle for about 2 minutes. The idle will hunt and search as the ECU relearns proper idle control. This is normal. Let it stabilize completely before you touch anything. Once the idle settles, you can turn on accessories and make sure everything works properly. Check that your radio presets are erased. Check that your seat memory positions are gone. If those items reset, you know the battery disconnect worked completely. Now comes the relearn drive, and this is not optional. Immediately after reconnecting the battery, take the vehicle out for a varied drive cycle that teaches every computer module how to operate properly. Gentle city driving for the first 5 minutes to let the transmission learn its basic shift points at light throttle. Then get on the highway and perform multiple hard acceleration runs. Floor it from 40 miles per hour up to 70 or 80 if traffic and road conditions allow. Do at least 4 or 5 of these wide-open throttle pulls to teach the computer you want aggressive performance. Find some hills if possible. Let the truck engine brake going downhill by releasing the throttle completely. Accelerate hard going uphill to teach the transmission when to downshift under load. Come to complete stops from highway speeds to teach the ABS system and transmission how to handle deceleration. Drive for at least 20 miles with this varied pattern. Mix city stops, highway cruising, and aggressive acceleration. By the time you're done, every control module will have fresh learned data optimized for performance driving rather than gentle commuting. Method 3. Forescan permanent modification. For owners who want permanent control over throttle response without constantly doing resets, the forescan method lets you modify the actual calibration files in your Ford's computer. This requires a laptop, a $50 OBD adapter cable, and the free forescan software, but it gives you complete control over dozens of hidden settings, including throttle sensitivity. Download Forescan software from the official Forescan website. It's free for personal use. You'll also need to purchase a compatible OBD2 adapter. The most reliable option is the OBD Link EX adapter, which costs about $50 and works perfectly with Forescan. Install Forescan on a Windows laptop. The software doesn't work on Mac or tablets, so you need an actual Windows PC. Connect your OBD-Link adapter to your laptop's USB port and to your Ford's OBD2 diagnostic port, which is located under the dashboard on the driver's side near the steering column on most models. Turn your Ford's ignition to the on position without starting the engine. Launch ForScan and let it detect your vehicle. It will identify your specific model, year, and all installed control modules. This process takes about 30 seconds. Navigate to the PCM section, which stands for Powertrain Control Module. This is your main engine computer. Look for the configuration settings or as-built data section. Here you'll find hundreds of hexadecimal codes that control various vehicle functions. The specific codes for throttle response vary by model year and engine, so you'll need to research the exact codes for your vehicle on ForScan forums. But generally, you're looking for parameters related to throttle progression, pedal position scaling, and boost control on turbocharged engines. For example, on 2015 to 2020, F-150Es with EcoBoost engines, there's a specific hex code that controls throttle aggression on a scale from 1 to 10. Factory default is usually 5 or 6. Changing it to 8 or 9 delivers sport mode-like throttle response in normal driving mode. After making your changes, write the modified data back to the PCM. ForScan will warn you that modifying as-built data can cause problems. Acknowledge the warning and proceed. The right process takes about 2 minutes. Turn off the ignition, disconnect ForScan, and restart your vehicle normally. The changes take effect immediately. Your throttle response will be noticeably more aggressive from the first press of the accelerator pedal. The advantage of the ForScan method is permanence. The adaptive learning system can still function, but it's working from your new baseline calibration instead of Ford's conservative factory setting. Even if the computer learns gentle driving habits over time, it's learning from a much more aggressive starting point. One warning about ForScan modifications. This does technically modify factory calibration, which could affect warranty coverage if a dealer discovers it. In practice, most dealers never check as-built data unless they're diagnosing a specific problem. But the risk exists, so understand what you're agreeing to before making permanent changes. Real-world results and testimonials. Let me share some specific examples of how dramatic the difference can be when you reset adaptive throttle learning properly. These are real customers with real results, not theoretical improvements. A customer brought me a 2020 F-150 with a 3.5 EcoBoost. He'd owned it for 2 years and 50,000 miles, almost all city commuting. He complained the truck felt slower than his friend's identical F-150, even though they had the same engine and specs. We performed the 30-second throttle reset procedure, then took it for an aggressive relearn drive. The difference was immediate and dramatic. Before the reset, 0 to 60 acceleration felt lazy. The turbo didn't spool aggressively. Passing on the highway required planning because the truck took forever to downshift and build boost. After the reset and relearn drive, the throttle response was instant. Touch the pedal, and the truck leaped forward. Turbo spool was aggressive and immediate. Highway passing became effortless because the transmission downshifted instantly, and the engine responded with full boost pressure. He texted me 3 days later, saying the truck felt like it gained 50 horsepower. Of course, it didn't actually gain power. The engine always had that capability. We just removed the electronic restrictions the adaptive learning had built up over 50,000 miles of gentle driving. Another example involved a 2017 Mustang GT with the 5.0 Coyote. The owner bought it used with 70,000 miles from an elderly gentleman who apparently never revved the engine past 3,000 RPM. The new owner was a Mustang enthusiast who wanted to enjoy the car's performance, but the throttle felt numb and unresponsive. We did a complete battery disconnect reset and thorough relearn drive. I had him do multiple wide-open throttle runs through the gears up to redline. The transformation was remarkable. Before the reset, the throttle had massive dead zones. You could press the pedal 30% and barely feel any response. After the reset, every millimeter of pedal travel delivered immediate power, and the engine responded with full boost pressure. The car felt 25% faster, even though nothing mechanical changed. For EcoBoost engines specifically, owners consistently report improved turbo response after adaptive learning resets. One F-150 owner with the 2.7 EcoBoost measured boost pressure before and after using a digital gauge. Before reset, he was seeing maximum boost of 14 psi under full throttle. After reset and aggressive driving, peak boost increased to 18 psi, which is closer to factory specs for that engine. The transmission shift quality improvements are equally dramatic. Customers consistently report crisper shifts, more aggressive downshifts when needed, and better gear holding during spirited driving. The transmission stops fighting you and starts working with you. Fuel economy impact is a valid concern, and I'll be honest about it. If you reset adaptive learning and then drive aggressively all the time, your fuel economy will drop by about 1 to 2 miles per gallon compared to conservative calibration. But most owners find the improved driving experience worth the minimal fuel cost increase. Plus, if you drive normally after the reset instead of constantly flooring it, fuel economy impact is negligible. How long do these results last before the adaptive learning reverts to conservative calibration? It depends entirely on how you drive. If you perform the reset and immediately go back to gentle commuting, the computer will relearn conservative habits within a week or two. But if you maintain spirited driving with regular hard acceleration, the aggressive calibration can last indefinitely. Most enthusiast owners I work with perform the simple 30-second reset every oil change, about every 5,000 miles. This keeps the adaptive learning fresh and prevents conservative habits from building up over time. It's become part of their maintenance routine, just like checking tire pressure. Important warnings you need to know. Before you rush out to reset your adaptive learning, there are several critical warnings and situations where you should not do this or should proceed with extreme caution. First, understand the warranty implications clearly. Ford's powertrain warranty language states the vehicle must be operated according to manufacturer specifications. Resetting adaptive learning isn't specifically mentioned in the owner's manual as recommended maintenance. If you reset adaptive learning and then have an engine or transmission failure during warranty coverage, Ford could theoretically claim you modified computer programming and void your claim. In practice, this rarely happens. Dealerships would need to prove the reset directly caused the failure, which is nearly impossible since you're not changing calibration, just clearing learned data. But the legal risk exists, especially if you use Forescan to make permanent modifications. Understand what you're agreeing to. Second, you absolutely must drive aggressively immediately after any reset procedure. This isn't optional. The computer is ready to relearn from scratch. If you drive gently, it relearns gentle habits instantly. You need to teach it the driving style you want during that first relearn period when it's most receptive to new data. Third, certain Ford models have known issues with adaptive learning resets. Some early 10-speed transmissions in F-150S from 2017 to 2019 can develop harsh shift quality or hunting behavior after aggressive resets. If you have one of these transmissions and notice problems after reset, a dealership may need to perform a transmission adaptive learning update using factory diagnostic tools. Fourth, never reset adaptive learning if you have existing check engine lights or transmission fault codes. Fix those problems first before clearing learned data. Resetting with active fault codes can make diagnosis more difficult and potentially cause additional problems. Fifth, on turbocharged engines, aggressive driving after a reset means the turbochargers will spool harder and more frequently than they have been. If your truck has high mileage or hasn't had regular oil changes, suddenly driving hard could expose existing turbo bearing wear that was masked by conservative calibration. Make sure your maintenance is current before pushing a high mileage EcoBoost hard. Stack these settings for maximum effect. The adaptive learning reset delivers the biggest single improvement in throttle response, but you can stack additional settings and modifications to maximize the effect even further. First, learn to use your drive modes strategically. Most modern Fords have normal, eco, sport, and tow haul modes. After resetting adaptive learning, drive exclusively in sport mode for the first week. Sport mode starts with a more aggressive throttle curve and transmission programming. When the computer relearns in sport mode, it builds even more aggressive habits than relearning in normal mode. After a week of sport mode driving, you can switch back to normal mode. The computer has learned aggressive behaviors, and switching to normal mode won't immediately undo all that learned data. You'll have normal mode with sport mode-like responsiveness. The tow haul mode trick works similarly. Tow haul mode on F-150S and Super Duties delivers the most aggressive throttle response and transmission behavior because the computer assumes you're hauling heavy loads. If you reset adaptive learning and then drive in tow haul mode for a week without actually towing anything, the computer learns extremely aggressive characteristics. Switch back to normal mode afterward and you'll have incredibly responsive throttle and transmission behavior. Combine the adaptive learning reset with cleaning your mass airflow sensor and replacing your air filter. A clean MAF sensor provides accurate airflow data to the computer. When you reset adaptive learning with a clean sensor and fresh filter, the computer learns optimal fuel and throttle calibration based on accurate sensor readings instead of compensating for dirty components. For EcoBoost engines, consider installing a high-flow drop-in air filter at the same time you reset adaptive learning. The increased airflow potential, combined with aggressive adaptive learning, creates a noticeable improvement in turbo response and power delivery. The complete throttle response package looks like this. Perform adaptive learning, reset, install fresh air filter or high-flow drop-in, clean the MAF sensor, drive aggressively in sport or tow haul mode for 1 week, then switch to normal mode for everyday driving. This combination delivers the most dramatic improvement in how your Ford responds to throttle inputs. Conclusion: your Ford has tremendous performance potential locked away behind adaptive learning calibration that has slowly degraded over thousands of miles of conservative driving. The hidden throttle learning reset restores factory fresh response in under 1 minute, completely free, without any tools or special knowledge required. I recommend performing the simple 30-second reset procedure every oil change, approximately every 5,000 miles. This prevents conservative adaptive learning from building up over time and keeps your Ford driving with the aggressive throttle response it had when new. The complete battery disconnect method is worth doing annually or whenever you notice significant throttle response degradation that the simple reset doesn't fully address. And if you're technically inclined and want permanent control, the 4-scan method gives you the ability to customize exactly how aggressive your throttle response stays, regardless of adaptive learning. Dealers charge $150 to $250 for this service, but you just learned how to do it yourself in your driveway for free. Share this information with every Ford owner you know, because most people have no idea this capability even exists. If this video just showed you how to restore your Ford's hidden performance for free, smash that subscribe button right now and hit the bell for notifications. Drop a comment below telling me what Ford you drive and whether you're going to try this reset today. And check out my next video where I'm exposing the 3 Ford maintenance items dealerships push that you absolutely don't need and can skip completely to save hundreds of dollars. Your Ford was designed to deliver strong, responsive performance. Now you know exactly how to unlock it.